Welcome to part 11 of our Dying Light 2 Stay Human Developer Tools Guide. This video will be all about dialogue. In the last tutorial, we learned how to make cutscenes. This time around, we're going to use a similar tool, but one that's going to be a tad more complex. To create new dialogue, click on Techland's logo. Click New Dialogue in the Dialogues tab. Let's name it Quest Final Dialogue, and in the campaign, choose our map. Click OK. We want to create a customized scene with actors, so let's pick Custom. We can choose how many actors we want in our scene from the template. Remember that the limit is 16 actors. We're going to use one NPC, so let's choose template 1 NPC base. Click OK. The dialog window should open. First, click Windows and choose Timeline. In the Timeline window, we can specify what should happen at a specific moment in time. Go to Windows and choose Graph Properties. Click on Windows one more time and choose Dialog Inspector. Let's start with Graph Properties. Here, we can add actors by clicking on the plus icon. Add Local Player, in this case it will be Aiden. Click the plus icon one more time and choose the NPC we want to use. Let's take Aider, for example. We can select the plus icon for the stage props, which are items that are used and held by our actors, for example, weapon. So, let's do that and name it Weapon and click OK. In Graph Type, we can define how subtitles should behave. We're going to stick to Normal, used for face-to-face encounters with NPC. We also have the option to use Radio for run and talk type scenes, like when the player character communicates with another character using a walkie-talkie. The center stage type can be used for title or location cards. Let's leave it on Normal. Below you can force hide the HUD, so let's leave it checked. Also, check Fade on Start so we can transition from a black screen to game view. Now uncheck Player Light if we don't need any additional lights from the dialogue text. We can get started on building dialogue, which is fairly easy. First, we need to define how we can set it up. Click the plus icon on Start node. Here, you can choose a different way to start a dialogue. For example, Auto Start means that a dialogue will begin just after we finish something, like an objective. We'll want to use Trigger since we want to create a scene in the game where the player initiates a conversation with an NPC. Click and hold the output icon, move our mouse to an empty space and release. Click Add Node and choose Conversation Node. This block is where all the magic happens. Press and hold the scroll wheel on your mouse, move our view to the left, click the output icon, hold it and release it on the empty space. Click Add Node so that we can also have an end node to end a scene with dialogue. Pick Conversation Node to start working on it. By clicking the plus icon in Conversation Node, we can input speech text for Aiden and Aider. Click on it, and let's choose a player. Now we can write what the player will say to Aider. Press on Enter Text here and write or paste the dialogue text. As you can see, this text will then appear on our timeline. Let's click the plus icon one more time to provide Aider with a response and follow the same step. I'm going to give Aiden another response. And follow that up with Aider's final line of dialogue. Okay, that will do for now. Next, choose the Dialogue Inspector window. Here we can change the skippable field to Can Never Be Skipped. With this on, you can probably guess that the player won't be able to skip the dialogues. Click on this empty field and then press Ctrl S to generate our dialogue. Click Yes to proceed. Now, before we move on, let's place the dialogue on our map to have the possibility to live preview it. Move the window off to the side. Click on the map icon to come back to our main viewport. Choose our level to set it as our target. Open the prefab browser, choose our dialogues category with the speech bubbles, and write the name of our dialogue in the search bar. So, Quest Final Dialogue. Place it on the map. Switch to the scene window to save and reload our level. Bring up our dialogue window. Select our conversation node and click Play. As you can see, they'll need some animation and a weapon model to replace this gray dummy box. Let's press Stop. Move this dialog box to the side again. Select our Quest Final Dialogue. Open it, extend it, select our weapon prop, go to Attributes. Extend Mesh, Click the three dots next to Mesh File, and here we can choose our weapon. Let's write 1 HB for one-handed blunt weapon. Here we have the TPP and FPP types. TPP are for NPC with lower quality texture, and FPP are for the player with higher quality texture. Choose Hammer B TPP. Press Open. Our gray box disappeared. It got replaced with a weapon. Let's go back to the scene window. In the dialog prefab, we can see that we have a slot 1 bag, which determines the location of the NPC, its behavior, among other things. There is also slot player bag, so the same thing but for the player character. Hold Shift, select both of them, and move them somewhere in your viewport. Press Escape once you're done. Bring up the dialog, and press play. As we can see, our actors appeared where we wanted. Now we can move them to 2 different spots. Click Stop. Select both of our slots and aider. Let's rotate them somewhere else. Maybe move him up a bit. Press Escape, come back to the dialog window, and click Play. We can see that they are now both in 2 different spots. We need to add animation for our actors. To speed up the process, click on Tools, Generate Timeline. With that, we can automatically generate our cutscenes. Press Generate, click Stop, and Play. We can now see the animations. By clicking on the player icon next to the player track, we can preview this dialogue from the player's point of view. Select that player icon, click Stop, then Play. Press pause. It looks good, but it could be better. So let's treat this as nothing more than our base. Next up, we can move our dialog window to the center. Extend the timeline view so we can see both our actors at once. In full body track, we can add or change animation for the actor or player. We need an animation for Aider where he can be a bit more serious. So let's remove and replace his full body animation. By holding Ctrl and scrolling with the scroll wheel on your mouse, we can zoom out of our timeline. Right-click on our full body track to add a full body key clip. From here, you can choose between single, meaning the animation will play once and stop, or looped. The animation will automatically restart when it ends. I'll go with single since it allows for more options down the line. And now we can search for our next animation by typing guarding 01 stand guard, and I'll go with the second result, 02. On the right side, you can also see the duration of each clip. This comes in handy when you want to match the length of your animation with the length of your dialogue. Let's adjust it and move it up in our timeline to the start. Move the blend in to 0, as we've done in previous videos. Keep in mind that the 1H in the name of the animation stands for one-handed weapon. If you ever want a two-handed one, you'll have to search for an animation that has 2H in the name. By holding Shift and pulling the end of the clip to the right, we can match the duration of the dialogue by slowing down the animation to where the red line appears. We can also see a blue speed prompt that tells us how much we've slowed it down. There is an alternative approach to slowing down animation for those who want to know. It involves blending 2 clips together. Moving on, click the player icon to preview our end result. Click Stop and play it. The animation appears to be working, but the head movements are a bit too much. To fix this head, we can use a gesture track. At this point, we can even add animations for individual body parts. Right-click on the gesture track, click on Add Gesture One Clip, and write something like Stand Calm. Choose the first one, click OK. Move it up and change the blend in to 0. Hold Ctrl as you use the scroll wheel on your mouse and match the length of this animation to the one above. It will make working on both clips more convenient for us. We want to use this animation for the gesture to reduce the abrupt head movements. Press Stop and play to preview it. The head motion has been reduced, but our hand animation sure could use some work. Because gestures were applied to the whole upper body, we need to change it so it only pertains to the head. In the mask field, choose only head mask. Preview it. Pause. So to recap, in the mask field, you could choose which bone or bones are going to be affected by any of the animation changes we make in the gesture track. Let's click play one more time, and then pause. It's good, it works, but our character still needs a weapon in his hand. Right-click the empty space in our track window and choose Create Track Prop. This is the track for our weapon. Right-click Prop Track, left-click Add Subtrack and choose Attachment. With this subtrack, we can parent the weapon to our actor. Right-click the attachment track to create a new keyframe. Click Add Attachment Key Clip and assign it to Aider. This is going to create a new keyframe on the timeline, but we'll still need to specify our prop and which body part will be carrying it. To do that, select our Aider keyframe. Press the 3 dots for Element. It is here where we will designate the hand that will be attached to our weapon. In this case, our holder will be right-handed, so write Holder for a quick search and select R hand holder. Click Stop and then play. We can see our weapon is still not visible. To fix that, we must select our prop track and from our dialog inspector, we must choose which prop should be parented here. Let's choose our weapon. And there it is, attached to Aider's right hand in all its glory. Press Stop and play to preview. And our weapon has been successfully attached. Press Stop. We also need to right-click our prop track to add a new visibility track. Right-click the track for visibility and choose Visible. Move it to the beginning so the weapon can appear as soon as the dialog starts. Select our attachment one more time. Click Play. In the viewport, we can see that the weapon is slightly above Aider's shoulder. To fix that, select the keyframe and by editing the position or rotation offset, you can adjust the position of the weapon. We can write any value and we'll see right away that it will change position. In this scenario, our rotation middle value will be 55. Once that's done, press Stop and play. As we can see, the placement of the weapon is much better than before. If you think it's too much, you can always go back and change it slightly, like so. Just remember that the dialogue will be happening between Aiden and Aider, so we have to fake some lip movements. To do that, we will focus on facial animations for the Aider actor. Right-click on the facial animation track and choose Add Facial Animation Clip. Now write something like Speech and choose SH Speech Debug. Readjust it and get rid of the blend-in as we did with the previous clips. Aider's mouth is moving. Now scroll up to find the moments where he's saying something. Align our facial movement animation to match his speech. We can trim the end as well to match the length of his dialogue. Now make sure it's selected. Press Ctrl-C, move your timeline indicator to the right, and Ctrl-V on your keyboard to copy and paste it. Remove the blending option from the start of the clip as well as the end, and match it with the other piece of dialogue. Now, when I'm going to click Stop and play, Aider's lip movements should be synced up with his speech. The first animation cuts off too abruptly, so I'll bring back the blend option to smooth things out. It should look a lot better when I preview it. It appears we have a rotation problem with the weapon. No worries, remove this gesture here that our dialogue editor added automatically. This should solve the issue. Let's preview it. Good. So now we've got synced lip movements and a fixed weapon rotation. Now let's hold Ctrl and use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in on our facial animation. For the body procedural track, you can determine where our actor will look. Notice it will currently set to our local player, meaning Aider will be looking directly at Aiden, which is what we want. But we should also get rid of body off and eyes off to make sure he is looking at the player at all times. That said, If we want to change something, we definitely need to right-click and add a body procedural tracking key clip and go with one of these options, like Direction. For now, let's set the direction to some random number. And when we're going to hit play, we can see that our actor is staring entirely at something else. This is going to be most useful when you have more than one actor in a scene. But since we only have one, we won't need it. Hence, we can delete it. Preview it to make sure Ader is solely focused on Aiden. Great! In Eyes Tracking Blink, you can determine where Ader's eyes will be looking, or even when he should blink. I like it as it is, so I won't tinker with it. I'll only remove the Eye Local Player and Body Local Player. We won't need those since we already started them earlier in the track, so it will stay like that for the rest of the clip. There's no need to add them again. At last, Ader and his weapon are good to go. Now, let's see what we can do with Aiden. Just like with the NPC, we can change or add a new animation in full body for Aiden. I'll stay with the automatically generated one. In camera tracking, we can set the player POV, aka the default keyframe position that has Aiden facing Ader. Inside the keyframe, in Dialog Inspector, we'll change that POV by editing the offset. But before that, let's focus on Camera FOV. In this track, we can add a new keyframe for the field of view. We'll make it more cinematic by adding a new keyframe. Select our value and make that 30. While we're at it, change blend time to 0. Press stop, click on the player head icon, and play it. Ader appears much closer than he did before, signifying that our FOV has changed. Though there's still too much empty space above his head, let's change that. Pick Ader's keyframe, move it to the start, change the blend time to 0. Change offset vertical to -7. Play around with the value until you're satisfied with the end result. Preview it. Alright. In Camera DOF, we can add a new keyframe to create depth of field. Right-click on this track, add a DOF clip, and move our keyframe to the beginning. Change blend time to 0. Here you can change near and far attributes. I don't need any blur in the foreground, so I will only edit the far properties. I'm going to change strength to 1, distance min to 5, and distance max to 35. We can already see the blurry background we wanted. We can check off the helpers to get an even better look at it. And just like that, we've got ourselves a blurry background. Next up, right-click the empty space in the dialog window, press Ctrl+S on your keyboard, and close it. And now let's select our quest final dialog and click Save and Reload. Now we need to add our dialog to the story we created in the previous tutorial. Thanks to that, the player will receive this dialog when playing our custom map. Let's click our Techland logo, click Open Story, and choose the story we created in our previous tutorial. Let's click Open, close this window. Now we need to create a new objective. Let's extend the quest we created before. Right-click it and choose Create Objective. Let's call it Talk to Ader. Let's make more space in this window. Take our end block to the side. Select this line and delete it. Create a new Start Objective block, click OK, and choose Talk to Ader. Next, we need to add a dialog block. Add a new block, write Dialog, and choose Dialog. Select our new block, and then pick the dialog we created earlier. So, Quest Final Dialog. Then come back to the map. Make sure to select our dialog prefab. Open back up the story system, right-click on M Dialog Entity, and set our selected entity. Now, our dialog block will be parented with the dialog prefab on our map. Thanks to that, our story will also be able to identify the dialog prefab. Let's add a new complete objective block. Since this happens after our talk with Ader, we will obviously want to end the Talk to Ader objective. Press Ctrl+S on your keyboard to save your work. An error will likely appear saying Actor has no instance on map. This means that Ader is not currently on our map as an NPC. Let's fix that. Close this window, go back to our map, then open and set our level as the target. Jump to the prefab browser window, choose the prefab category, write Human AI, select it and place it on our map. Choose the selection tool. Our Human AI has not yet appeared on our map. To change this, go to the Attributes window, Extend AI Preset, click the three dots next to the preset name and write Ader in the pop-up window. Always make sure you use the exact same actor that we used in our dialogue. The name should be exactly the same. And there it is, our Human AI. Let's also change his name to Ader NPC. Now go back to the prefab browser window and write Behavior in the search bar. Choose Behavior Place NPC and place it on our map. Choose your selection tool and go to Attributes. Let's rename it to Ader NPC BP. Extend Behavior Place. Click the three dots next to Behavior. Now we can select how Ader should behave. We can go with something simple like stand, hips. Let's go with the second option. Go back to the scene window and select our Ader NPC. And go to the Attributes window. Extend Initial Setup. Click the three dots next to Behavior Place and search Ader NPC to go with the results that end with BP. Extend General. Scroll down and check off Always Spawned. If we forget this step, we'll receive a warning telling us that we need to tick it. Now let's go back to the scene window and from our dialog prefab, designate the area where our Ader is positioned. He'll be sitting here. So let's go to the Attributes window, uncheck Absolute and copy the matrix. Go to the scene window, select our Ader NPC, go to Attributes and paste the copied matrix. Then we'll have to go to Scene. Select the first Ader NPC BP, go to Attributes and paste the same matrix. And one more time. Open the scene window to save and reload our level. Before we start our game, we need to open the dialog once more. Click the Techland logo and open the dialog we created. Return to the map, select our conversation node, jump to Graph Properties, and select Ader. Now, in the Behavior Name field, we can choose a different behavior place for Ader that will activate after a completed objective, but before the next dialog scene. Click the three dots next to the behavior name. Maybe we can go with something like Warm-up, so that we can really see the difference between the two behaviors. Warm-up 1 should do it. Click on the empty space and press Ctrl+S on your keyboard to save our dialog. Let's close the window. Open our story, click on the empty space and also press Ctrl+S to save our story. As you can see, the error about instance no longer appears. Close this window. Come back to our map. Press play to check how it looks in-game. Click Yes to save progress. Okay, so Ader has his hands on his hips. Our BP, behavior place, is working. I completed my objectives, and now I can see the second one that informs me I must talk to Ader. This time around, when I approach him, we can see that his BP changed. He no longer has his hands on his hips. Let's talk to him. Looks like everything is working. After his dialogue, we can see that his BP changed to the warm-up. Our work here is done. And that's all for part 11. In the next video, we'll take a closer look at ambient sounds. Thanks for watching.